inviting me to be part of this opening session. I feel a bit awkward because I recognize that nothing of what I'm going to say today is unknown to you. It's unknown to all of us, actually. We've been talking about these issues, at least for me, for the last 20 years. What is going to change? How are we going to do things differently if we are not to continue to talk about them exactly in the same terms? 1.2 billion people in extreme poverty in the world today. We all know that sub-Saharan Africa remains the world's poorest region and the one with the highest head count poverty rate, which goes around 48%, so it means almost half of the population. Here in the region, Southern Africa, where we are, the average is 44% of children who are stunted, but there are countries in which you have almost 50%, and one actually have more than 50% of children who are stunted. So I call this a question of dignity and honor for African governments and nations to be able to feed themselves. In my language, there is a proverb which says, your neighbor's granary will never fill your stomach. So we know what is the reality. But we also have been talking about what could be the solution. We have agreed that smallholder farmers are the key to unleash the capacity and to scale up food production massively. We know. So why we don't manage to produce food for ourselves? And I believe if Africa can remove from the global picture the about 400 million people who go hungry every day, then that would be the first solution. I think the governments need to invest in research. So far there are big organizations internationally which have been researching about seeds, about everything for us. But I believe we have to come down to a reality in which what is adequate for Kenya, it will not be necessarily adequate for Niger. Getting children who are out of school into school, but improving the quality of education. Because these are going to be the farmers of tomorrow who will not be using the traditional ways of farming. We need to promote a higher rate of transition from primary to secondary education, and more importantly, focus on skills development of youth. Our young people, you also know, we have extremely high rates of young people who, even when they complete the secondary education, they are unable to do anything because they have skills. So secondary education, but very focusing on skills development, I don't think there is one single African country which will manage to get jobs for their children. What they have to do is to train them to have skills, to give them notions of management, and to encourage them to become entrepreneurs, to create jobs, and I would call it to create work for themselves. What is going to change again? I said, well, our governments, our business people have to do more. But can we continue to do it as business as usual, the same way we're doing? I don't think so. We need to investigate and say, how do we better? How do we do differently first? How do we better? And then how do we scale up? But I think the international community also has to face some uncomfortable questions. Supposedly, we do produce. We reach 2030. Africa has moved out of the abject poverty in which I was talking about. We will be on a good footing now to give a significant contribution to the world. Is Europe and America going to cut the subsidies for agriculture so that our products can have access to your market? Being this global village, we also have to take responsibility for take care of our brother.